In Italy, on the 26th of February, they had 11 deaths and 325 cases. 10 days later, on the 6th of March, they had 148 deaths and 3,858 cases. Today, 13th of March, they have 1,016 deaths and 15,113 cases. 2,651 more than the previous day. The rest of the world, 15th of February, 2 deaths, 507 cases. Today, 13th of March, 1,898 deaths, including those of Italy, and 56,776 cases. 10,000 more than yesterday, including Italy. A lot of this could have been avoided if they had just used two statistics. 2.6 is the infection rate from the Imperial College London. 80 is the number of cases that we must have, infected cases, for each death. And this is from Professor Gabriel Leong, top world expert on SARS and today on coronavirus, based in Hong Kong. What follows now, we will go through all the mathematics, we will go through the various models, and we will see how a lot of the stuff that's going on now could have been avoided if people had been using these statistics, which have been available for a long time. Also, this prediction for the USA today, 13th of March 2020, in the USA today you have 1,336 reported cases of infection. These will infect 3,473 and the total is 4,809, and this will be within the next few days. You have 36 deaths now in the USA. Once you get to this figure, which will not be reported, you will have 60 deaths. 80 cases per 1 death. It might be useful if some of these world experts, the governments, would wake up and do some research via the internet like an idiot like me has done. Statistics, coronavirus, and what they are not telling us. This is going to be a car crash. It's going to be like a lorry driving down the motorway and crashing into a cyclist. The lorry is COVID-19 coronavirus and the cyclist is the world. And there's going to be no funny jingles here. I'm going to try and avoid being ironic. No sense of humor at all. This is serious, and I'm just amazed that either they're not telling us or they're not stupid enough as me, and I'm an idiot, to get the information. None of this is something invented by me. To get the information, doing extensive research on the internet and putting it all together. And we're going to go through the infection rate, the real infection rate, the real death rates, and also how many infected there should be, not only those that they found and documented, and also there will be some predictions concerning the actual status in the USA. I've been writing down statistics since the 1st of February. This on the left, this is the month of February, which ended on the 29th, of course. This is the month of March. And these statistics come from, I think, one of the best concise websites, which is this website. I will put the link down below in the information. This is not the calculation statistics. This is just the raw data that we have every day. The only problem is that on this website, like most of them, they just put the data concerning the last state of affairs. So here below, this is today. Today is the 13th of March. Unfortunately, it's a Friday. And these are the worldwide death cases, overall cases, recovered, unresolved. And here below we have country by country, cases, deaths, serious cases, and we got China and the rest of the world. Previously they had one separate part just for China, then one for the world, and now they had to put them together because it just grew and grew and grew. So this is where I have been getting my statistics from and putting them in my databases day by day from the 1st of February. And we're going to get to these later and put our statistics to work, if they work and if these figures correspond. In China, these figures are haywire, and if we just have a look how it's growing, I repeat, this is February here on the left. March starts here, number 1. So it's growing, and now it suddenly starts to fizz out. Basically today, China had just 7 more deaths than yesterday. This is incredible. Maybe they've managed to put it out. This blue line here, by the way, I missed one day. I didn't get to write the statistics down, so I had to jump them. And this is the state as of 13th of March. So we've got 3,176 deaths, 7 more than yesterday, incredible. 4,020 serious cases, and overall 80,813 cases. And this is also incredible. Since yesterday, they've only had 20 more cases. Let's have a look at Italy. Now, Italy, I started to put the statistics in on the 26th of February because at that time, nobody knew in Europe more or less what was happening. And as you can see, Italy had only 11 cases on the 26th of February. Serious cases 19, 325 overall. The next day, it starts to grow. 128 more, 202 more, bing, bang, boom, bam, bingo, as we go down here. Again, I missed the 11th of March, so that's why I've got zeros here. I missed it, so I put the same data as I had on the 10th of March. I could have done an average between the 10th of March and the 12th, but no point in doing that. So today, on the 13th of March, we've got 1,016 deaths in Italy, 189 more than yesterday, 15,113 total cases, 2,651 more than yesterday. And in China, they only had 20 more. I mean, this is okay. Anyway, so this is the overview, and I don't think you'll find these statistics anywhere in the world because there's only one idiot like me, or at least I haven't found them up till now. The only idiot in the world who's been putting it into his database every day for the last month or something must be me. I don't know. If you find something similar, you can check them. If anybody finds something similar, let me know. Now, before we get to the Czech Republic, we'll get to the rest of the world. The rest of the world, if I go back to Italy, I started putting Italy around the 26th of February, but the rest of the world, obviously, it was then Hong Kong and surrounding areas to China, so this database was started on the 15th of February. And again, it just grows exponentially. Look at today, 13th of March, we have 1,898 deaths. This also includes the Italian ones, so rest of the world is basically minus China. So we had 434 more than yesterday, and overall, minus China, we've got 56,776 cases, which is 10,000 more than yesterday. And this is the Czech Republic. I started to create this database for the Czech Republic on the 9th of March, just to see what happens there, because before the 9th of March, they were like 3, 4, 6, 12, 16, and then it was suddenly 31, 41, 64, 100, which was yesterday, 117 today, and here are the pluses. So there was an increase from the 11th to the 12th by 36, and from the 12th to this day, there was an increase of 17. This obviously doesn't mean that it's lessening, that it's going away. Nobody in the world is catching all the cases, and this is where we're going to get to the actual statistics on how to work out more or less with precision how many cases there should be and how many cases there should be compared to how many deaths there are, and we're going to get to that now. Now we know how we can get our basic statistics. Yeah, how many people are dying everywhere. Then we need some other statistics to be able to calculate them. And here are two very important numbers, 2.6 and 80. 2.6 is the number of people that one person who has already been infected will infect. These 2.6 people will then infect 2.6 times people, which is 6.7. And it goes on. We'll get to this in a minute. So 2.6 is the infection rate of the transmission rate, infection rate from one person to another 2.6. And this number, by the way, is the average, because the people who came up with this number is from 1.5 to 3.5, and I will in about 30 seconds show you the link and where this number comes from. The same applies for this number. For every dead person, there must be at least 80 infected. This statistic actually goes from 80 to 100. I'm keeping it down to a minimal. So one dead person, there must be 80 people infected somewhere. Now this second statistic comes from this chap, Professor Gabriel Leong, world's biggest authority on SARS and today the world's biggest authority on coronavirus. He and his structure. He's based in Hong Kong. I will put a link down below, and if there's anything you watch in this whole section, watch this 60 Minutes Australia, where he explains the 80 number, but also, and there's some really weird shit here, he explains how it developed in the marketplaces in China, and this is really worth spending half an hour watching this. Okay, so the number 80, one dead person, at least 80 infected, comes from this worldwide expert. You can also look him up on Wikipedia, and his name is Professor Gabriel Leong. The other number here, the 2.6, that one person will infect 2.6, and so on, comes from these nice people. And this is the Imperial College of London. I will put links down below to this document, which will be from the Google cache. You know, Google keeps a history of websites, of their pages, the Google history, and up till the other day, it was there. I've copied it. I've also made copies of the actual web pages, saved them to my hard disk. And the reason I'm stating this is because Imperial College of London, they deleted the links. I will also below include the original links the day before yesterday, where if you click on them, you end up on their website and it says, oh, sorry, this page has been moved. So when I discovered that, I went very quickly to get this document. This is in a text copy form, and hopefully the links are still there by the time I publish this video. So, and the number 2.6, and we've actually two numbers here, which are very interesting. We've got two documents. I've pasted them together. Report number 6, relative sensitivity of international surveillance. And in this one down here, they have worked out statistically that 63% to 73% of how many people really are infected will not be discovered. Okay, so that leaves us about 25% to 30% of people which can be discovered, but otherwise there's another 63% going around. So let's say we have 100 people who are infected, only 25 more about will be documented. We will get to hear about it. Not because they're lying to us, but because they haven't found the others yet. Keyword here is yet. Now, let's get to the 2.6 figure. This unfortunately got a bit screwed up when I was pasting it into the text version. So the second document is called Report 3, Transmissibility of 2019 nCoV, which is coronavirus. We estimate that on average, each case infected 2.6, uncertainty range 1.5 to 3.5. So they've taken more or less an average between these two, and that is where the number 2.6 comes from. All these links will be included down below. Now we know that I'm not inventing this. 2.6 isn't a number that I came up once after I drank a couple of beers more, and neither did I invent the number 80. And now, finally, we're going to go and do some calculations to do some predictions. In the USA, the number of infected people, as of today, 13th of March 2020, are reported to be 1,336. This number is obviously off, not because they're lying, they're trying to do their best, the poor guys, but because they just can't measure them all. They can't test the whole population. If they could test the whole population every 24 hours, that would be easy peasy. So let's do some maths now. And we're going to get to the nitty-gritty straight away. One person can infect 2.6 people. Now, obviously, one person can infect 100 people, and one person doesn't need to infect anybody. But this, according to the Imperial College of London, is more or less the average what could be happening. They're not saying one person can infect 1,000 or 200, or that 10 people don't have to infect anybody. Somewhere you have to find a rule of thumb to go by. So, one person infects 2.6. And that person, let's just say he's not going to infect, or she's not going to infect, or they, how you say today. And let's just say that that one person is not going to infect any more people. We still have to add him up later on. These 2.6 people, put them here for the purpose of mathematics, infect 6.7 people. And here is the formula. D.5 is this field here in Excel times 2.6. So it's 2.6 times 2.6 equals 6.76. They infect 17. They infect 45, 118, 308, 803. Bang, bang, bang. Total 22,937. That's almost 23,000. And these are just 10 cycles. Let's go over to the main key here, according to our professor in Hong Kong, where if we have one dead person, we have 80 infected. 2 dead people, 160. I presume you know how to count. 5, 400. This is all times 80. 10, 800, 100 is 8,000. 400, which was in Italy, should have been 32,000, but it wasn't because they didn't find it. This number 36 is actually the number of people that have died in the USA up till now. So 36 times 80, this is I4. So H13 times I4, which is 80, is 2,880. We don't have 2,880 now in the USA. We have 1,336 as infected cases. Yeah, 36 dead should be 2,880. Well, again, we don't have it because they're not finding them. They will. They will in a couple of days. And we'll go through the other statistics and we'll see how exactly both of these statistics, the 2.6 and the 80, fit, except it's not immediate. As I said, they'd have to be measuring the whole world population every 24 hours. So if we now use the famous 2.6 statistic of how many people one person can infect, now that we have 1,336 people, they in turn will infect at least 3,473 people, unless they wipe the virus out tomorrow, which will give us a total of 4,809. We have to calculate the original 1,336 people times 2.6 gives us this figure, and the total is 4,809. So soon in the USA, they will have 4,809 people infected. They will not be able to state that number because they won't find them. When we will have 60 cases of death, then there will be 4,809, so that by the time this figure is reached, by the time that the statistics in the USA, not the statistics, but the actual reporting shows 4,809 people have been infected, there should be at least, unfortunately, 60 deaths. Now, the other number from the Imperial College, the 70 and 30%, is basically used here. So we've got the 4,809 supposed cases that will soon be, because these 1,336 have infected the others. When we get to that point, 70% of that will not be found, which is this number. Okay, this is 4,809 divided by 100 times 70, that's how you get the percentages, is this number. This number will not be found. The remaining 30% will be found. So what they will be announcing soon here will be not 4,809, the next step will be 1,442. That is the percentage that by the time we get to this figure, real infected people, in 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe the way the statistics are going now, maybe in 5 days, this is the figure that they will be reporting. I repeat, not because they're lying. They haven't got so many tests. They're not doing all these tests. They cannot test the whole population of the world, or at least the whole population in the USA, every 12 or 24 hours, and then start again. Now, one last general statistic is the following. Here we have the mortality rate. The mortality rate of the seasonal flu is 0.1. This means that 1 person in 1,000 will die. The average of COVID-19, and this number here comes from the WHO, is 3.4. So in this case, 34 people from 1,000 will die. By the way, don't get confused. This is percent. This 2.6 here above is times, yeah? We're not doing a percentage. We're saying 2.6 times 2.6, or 17 times 2.6. Here we're saying 0.1% of. In this case, 34 people will die. This is a statistic that I worked out quite a while ago, about 3 weeks ago. This is concerning the world population, which is 3.52, a little bit higher than this. Italy, this was worked out again 2 weeks ago, 5.1. This is the mortality rate. So, and in the USA, statistically, for every 1,000 people, 28 people will die. Now, look at this. USA cases, we're not far off. So, 1,336 cases. I'm using a factor of 2.8%. Gives me 37 people, near enough to 36. Now, look at Italy now. Here it was 5.1%. Today, it is 6.7 because the number of infected cases in Italy is 15,113. If we want to get to the number of the actual fatalities, which is 1,016, to get near that number, the percentage is 6.7. So in Italy, the mortality rate percentage is 6.7, which is a little bit more than twice as much as in the USA. If we look at the world percentage, in the world we've got 56,000, the world I mean minus China, yeah, not China. We've got 56,776. We've got 1,898 deaths. This of course includes Italy. I mean, Italy is a big factor. If we erased Italy, the statistics would go down incredibly, but they will be growing elsewhere in the meantime. So to get to the near number of 1,898, which is the actual dead poor guys in the world, we've got 3.3%. And I do apologize, I have to correct that. My mistake, I copied Italy down here and left the 6.6. So in the world, we now have a 3.3 mortality rate, which is here, which is a bit higher than only in the USA because we have Italy as a factor. Okay, so just to recap this before we get to the main statistics, is now we're gonna put into action the 2.6 and the 80 concerning the whole statistics that I showed at the beginning of this video and see if they correspond. Just remember, every person is multiplied by 2.6. This is not like 2.6 of one person. It's time 2.6 to find how many people this person can infect. If, for example, let's do this. If here I put 10, then I'm going to get 26 people, okay? 10 people can infect 26 people. And remember, reverse statistic is that for every dead person, we should have 80 infected people. So let's put these statistics to work for Italy. This is Italy, start date database 26th of February. Today is the 13th of March. This here to the left is the rest of the Chinese database. If on the 26th of February we have 11 deaths, remember, each death is 80 cases. 80 infections. So let's go. 11 times 80 equals 880. And we haven't got 880 cases here because they haven't been able to measure them yet. But we will get 880 cases pretty soon. 1, 2, in 3 days' time. But in 3 days' time, we've got the 29th of February and we've got 21 deaths. Let's do it again. 21 unfortunate deaths times 80 is 1,680. And we get to that just in 2 days' time. Let's skip a bit further on. Let's take the 5th of March. 107 deaths. 107 times 80. Gives us 8,560. 1, 2, 3, more or less 5 days. So we've used the figure 80, yeah? Per person dead, we must have 80 cases of infected people with coronavirus. Let's go back to our 2.6 figure. The 2.6 figure is the infection rate. Here, we're going to say every person infects 2.6. Let's take this date here. This is the 28th of February. In Italy, there are 655 infected people, or reported. Let's put it down here. 655 times 2.6 equals 1,703. And we get to that 1,703 in just 2 rounds, 2 cycles. Let's take another one. Let's take this one, the 4th of March. This is the end of February here. Yeah, March starts from this one. The 4th of March, we've got 2,502 people times 2.6, and we get 6,505. 1, 2, 3, 4, between 4 and 5 cycles. And again, it starts to expand more because the more infected people there are, they just cannot manage to get them on the same day, but in 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 days or 1 week. Let's look at the Czech Republic now. There aren't any deaths yet, but we could actually use the 80 figure like sort of retro programming, where if we know that for 1 dead, we have 80 people who've been documented, which is more or less here where we are now today in the Czech Republic. So sooner or later now, we probably will have 1 dead. Obviously, the more dead there are, sounds weird to say, these statistics tend to come then more together. But we can here count the infection rate. So from the 9th of March, we had 31 people who were infected. 31 times 2.6 equals, we should have 80. So this is the 9th of March, and we got past the 80 mark 1, 2, 2.5 days later. So here we've got 100 people infected. 100, I know you've already worked it out in your head, I'm slow, times 2.6 equals 260. Today is the 13th of March. We've got 117. Depending on how good the Czech Republic is in blocking it and also in measuring it, hopefully 260 will not be reached in 2 days. My guess is maybe 4 or 5 days. So my guess is that by the 14th, 15th, 16th, my guess is that by the 17th, and that's being very optimistic, I suspect we might have it on the 16th. In conclusion, what I would just like to say is I'm just wondering why either they're not telling us these statistics, or these statistics are actually not important. They're not important now. They would have been important 15 days ago for the United States. For Italy, they would have been important a month ago. Important to know what could happen. So these statistics, they don't really save anybody's life. Well, they could. And the only way to save people's lives is to lock people up in their homes for 4 weeks and then see what happens. Obviously, you can't do that because the economy would crash. The USA has blocked off flights coming in. The Czech Republic, as of this morning, they have blocked anybody coming in and coming out, which will take effect, I think, tomorrow. So nobody can get in, nobody can get out from the surrounding countries. Maybe that'll help. There's lots of people who, in the Czech Republic, for example, came back from their holidays last week, and they didn't even have an idea. Lots of people were coming back last weekend, and they heard from their friends via mobile, hey, when you get in back to the Czech Republic, you have to go into quarantine. This was absolute news. They all fell off their chairs. So unless they're very good at quarantining it and lock everybody up in their house, unfortunately, even in the Czech Republic, it will still continue to spread because they just can't catch it. So I hope some of these statistics have been useful, and maybe some of the experts would like to reveal similar statistics to us, because the worst thing I think for most people is not knowing. And if you remember, up till about 3 weeks ago, up till about 10 days ago, people were saying, the seasonal flu is much more dangerous. Of course, from seasonal flu, there's many more people who die in the world up till now. That is the key word, up till now, because with coronavirus, statistics are a still ongoing business. Take care of yourselves, everybody. Over and out.